How many of you have a mobile phone? Did you use your mobile phone during the last day? Have you looked up directions on your phone or ordered food to be delivered? How many of you have an iPad? Have you watched YouTube videos recently? Or what about used Bluetooth earphones to listen to your favorite tunes? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you can thank Star Trek. Yes, it was the imagination of the writers of Star Trek that gave us devices that were at first science fiction, but are now science fact. Our first speaker agreed with the definition of the key words provided by the opposition and introduced our case, stating that Star Trek is more desirable as we all want to go boldly into a bright future. As second speaker today, I will continue our team's argument and explain how science fiction created on Star Trek has become science fact. Before I continue with my team's argument, I would like to point out some flaws in the opposition's case. The second speaker of the opposition explained that Star Wars took Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey story and gave it a science fiction makeover. I would like to point out that while this may be true, Star Wars retold a story that lacks originality. How many have seen The Wizard of Oz? The story of a young girl on a journey who teams up with allies and defeats an evil witch. Or perhaps Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's original trilogy, published in the 1950s. It is about a young hobbit guided by a mentor, teaming up with allies in order to defeat evil. Star Wars is not original, nor is the sequel trilogy. The main differences were the updated effects and a female lead instead of a male lead. And that's why Star Wars is not better than Star Trek, as it has no original stories. It looks to the past and not to the future. The opposition has suggested that Captain Janeway was not a good leader or role model for women, as she became lost in space. Captain Janeway was an exemplary leader despite all odds, led her crew through unexplored regions of space, and never gave up on her objective of getting her crew home. How many female characters were in the original Star Wars trilogy? Most of you can only think of one, Princess Leia, who kissed her brother? What about the female characters in the prequel trilogy? Again, most can only think of one, Padme, who died of a broken heart? That is why Star Trek is more desirable, as we all want to go boldly into a bright future. Star Trek has paved the way for new technology that we all take for granted. What was imagined in the mind of a writer and considered science fiction is now science fact, thanks to Star Trek. In the original series, the crew of the Enterprise could contact each other through their communicators. At the time, this was considered science fiction. Now, we all have mobile phones that instantly connects us with anyone around the world. While people in the 1960s viewed Star Trek on square television sets with a curved screen, Kirk was monitoring space activity on a flat screen, just like our TV sets today. The Universal Translator allowed the crew of the Enterprise to communicate with aliens from all over the galaxy. And now Google has developed apps that allow language all over the planet to be instantly translated.
We are cute. Resistance is futile.
In summary, today, ladies and gentlemen, I have continued our team's argument as to why Star Wars is not better than Star Trek. I have identified how ideas created for science fiction became science fact through the passion and ingenuity of fans over the past 50 years. When the rest of the world was asking why, Star Trek was asking why not. That is why Star Trek is more desirable as we all want to go boldly into a bright future. Thank you.